This is Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Behind the Mic, live from Grunion Sports Bar and Grill here in Manhattan Beach, California. Brad Dalius and Keith Jackson with you on this Wednesday evening, April the 4th, 2018, live on BehindTheMicShow.com and also on the Behind the Mic app. Check out our podcast on iHeartRadio. Welcome on in to Grunions. Great to have everyone out here tonight. Big week of sports. We have the Masters coming up this weekend. As far as the world of golf is concerned, everyone is buzzing down in Augusta about Tiger Woods. March Madness is over. It's hard to believe. We'll talk about Villanova's dominating victory on Monday night. Keith and I have a lot of thoughts on that one. Big show for tonight, though, as well. We'll also get into the Rams acquiring Brandon Cooks from New England. That was the big acquisition that went down yesterday here in L.A. Robert Quinn is now a member of the Miami Dolphins, but he's still talking about the LA Rams, Keith. He's got a lot on his mind, apparently. We'll chat about it. We'll also play 10 questions tonight as well, go through a kind of a collection of different events that are going on in the world of sports as far as questions are concerned. And LeBron James and Nick Saban are at each other right now. We'll tell you what's going on with that and everything else that it entails as well. So lots to get into tonight here on Behind the Mic. If you want to jump aboard to weigh in on any of the conversation tonight, it's 213-261-7491, 213-261-7491. Keith, what's going on? How are things going?
It's going great, man. Just finishing up on the NCAA tournament. So, now I'm trying to get back into the rest of the sports world. You got NBA basketball going on. I actually was watching before I got here today, Minnesota and Pittsburgh playing. Snowing in Pittsburgh during the game. I mean, flurrying. I mean, pure snow. It looked like the Colts.
Was it really?
It looked like the Colts when the Colts were playing.
The Bills.
The Bills that won, yeah.
Last season.
That's the way the game. It was just snowing like crazy out there.
And they played through it. They didn't stop.
And they didn't stop. So, I was like, wow, I know those guys are cold out there. But that game was going on, and it catch a little bit of the Angels. And now I'm here, and we're ready to talk some sports, man. So let's get to it.
Dodgers 2-5. You talk about baseball through the first 7 games. We'll get into the boys in blue tonight as well. Shohei Ohtani's had an impressive first week, Keith. We can talk about the Japanese turn major league star here in just a bit as well. Let's start, though, with Villanova's dominating performance Monday night in the national championship game over Michigan. Last week, we talked with Larry Hawley out of Chicago, talking about Loyola Chicago's run throughout this tournament and what they've been able to do and potentially what they could do in the Final Four. And it looked like for a period there that they were going to punch their ticket into Monday night's championship game. Michigan, though, had a run in them, and Beeline's crew came back. And ultimately, Michigan advanced, as we know, to the championship game. They took on then the winner between Villanova and Kansas, and wow, Villanova left no doubt at all that they were the better team over Kansas. So a dominating performance Saturday night in the Final Four, and it really continued. That train just plowed right into Monday night, and it was a tidal wave of Wildcats, Keith. I think that's the best way to sum it up. Michigan had no shot in this game. It wasn't even a contest. Yeah, it was close a bit in the first half, but as you were watching the game unfold, it was only a matter of time before Villanova really took over this thing. Complete dominance from what I like to consider a new titan in college basketball. A true blue blood now at this point in time. We talked about it last week. They have more wins than any other school, any other program in all of college basketball over the last 4 years. To me, they punch their stamp and really help to back up that stat. So impressive across the board. Jay Wright, it had been talked about now for a while that he had probably risen to the ranks as one of the top coaches in America. He's got to be number one at this point. 2 national titles now in 3 years, and that puts you in rare company. There's not many other teams that can lay claim to that. So it's impressive what they've been able to do.
Yeah, I beg to differ on that. Like Jay Wright being one of the best coaches in the game right now. I mean, I've heard conversations about that, but look, let's don't get ahead of ourselves. Coach K's won 5 national championships and one in in the last 4 years. He has won. So you can't justify that. Roy Williams has won a national championship last year as well. And Villanova, yes, he's been there. He's been dancing. I definitely have to say he's in the top right now. As of now, he's top 3. I'll say top 3, and I'm gonna say behind those guys. I mean, you can't go behind. You can't. Coach K and Roy Williams, you can't just jump over those guys, like just catapult over those guys. Just all of a sudden, you know, he's won 2 championships in the last 3 years, so we can say Jay Wright has, and that's a great stat and everything like that. But I can say that he is definitely up there and maybe top 3. I think Calipari is right on his heel, or probably you can't surpass. He's close to surpassing him, but you can't justify him right now. But I don't think he can get. He's not at Coach K status yet, or Roy Williams to that matter.
That's fair.
Yeah.
At this point in time, though, all time, yes, no doubt. I go by championships personally, and I got to say Coach K is still at the top, so I agree with that. Roy Williams has 3 championships. All time, yes, they're definitely above Jay Wright for now. But as far as the hottest coach at the moment, the best coach as of today in college basketball, I got to go with Jay Wright and what I've seen here and now. As you know, it's a short-term memory in sports. College basketball is no different. You have to keep in mind that, you know, Jay Wright, he came to Villanova in 2001. He's been there a very long time, obviously. They made it to the Final Four the first time in 2009. It was a big deal, but it was the first time that they really got into the dance as far as the Final Four dance is concerned. And when they won it all in 2016, 2 years ago, it was really a long time coming for the school and for Jay Wright in his own right as well. So for them now to go 2 out of 3, and for as impressive as they were able to do it, it's just impressive because, like I said, you look at a Bill Self who only has that 1 championship in 2008, Calipari only with the 1 championship with Kentucky from a few years ago, and the list goes on. And, you know, it's very debatable, obviously, the accolades for certain coaches. How do you weigh it versus other guys? And it's jumbled at the top right there. I don't think there's any question about it. But
definitely he's up there. He's definitely the hot trending topic as of right now, for sure. But I mean, what a dominant performance that he had against Kansas. I mean, totally to me outcoached Bill Self. DiVincenzo just filled it up, and they couldn't stop him from the 3-point mark. And it goes on from there. I thought that Kansas will have a better showing, but it just wasn't there. And I just knew for some reason Kansas' opportunity to actually do something was in the first half, because Villanova really didn't start cooking to the second half. DiVincenzo, towards the end of that game, towards the end of the first half, he got them up by 12 at the end of the half. I believe they were up by 9 at the end of the half. They were up by 9. And they start rolling average from there. And, I think what Kansas stopped doing is they start settling for threes, and they wouldn't get to the basket. And all of a sudden, it was just a matter of time that Villanova started rolling. They didn't shoot like they did in the Final Four, but DiVincenzo sort of put them over the top, and they just kind of put them away after when they came out the second half. They just continue to roll. So, I thought it would be a better showing in the national championship. I just wish Duke had really got past Kansas, because I think it probably would have been a better showing.
They were that close, Keith.
Yeah.
They were that close. Not once, but twice, actually.
Yeah, it would have probably been a better showing. I just wanted to see a better national championship game than what I saw. But congrats to Villanova on just a dominant performance. And I'm going to say, we're going to just say this, a dominant a dominant tournament, on NCAA tournament. On top of that, I think they beat everybody, Bastoni, except for maybe West Virginia. West Virginia gave us some trouble, but after that, they kind of rolled through everyone. So.
You're right. They won every game by double digits in the tournament. It was the first time that had been done since Carolina in the last decade. And really, they just steamrolled everybody. In a tournament, Keith, where there were upsets galore, we raved about this for weeks. This was one of the best tournaments we've ever seen. At the end of the day, it was just very interesting how it turned out to be a true blue blood, a new Titan, as I like to call it now in college basketball. That was just a dominating performance from beginning of the tournament to the end of the tournament. And it was just kind of highlighted at the end there when they were able to beat Michigan. But going back to the Kansas game, look, when you get down 22-4 to start off the game like Kansas did, you're going to have a hard time coming back. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you play, you're going to have a really hard time. We've seen this in these games. There's only so many opportunities in a college basketball game to come back. Like, the margin for error is so slim. I feel like this isn't talked about enough, but literally, if you make a couple mistakes here and there, you put yourself in a hole, you're going to have a really, really hard time to come back. There's just too much energy that needs to be spent to try and catch up. And obviously, Kansas could never dig out of that hole Saturday night. I'm with you. I wish we would have seen better competition. The first game was good. Yeah. Loyola Chicago against Michigan, that was good. It was a little tough to watch down the stretch as the Ramblers just ran out of gas. And Michigan was able to come back and really just dominate at the end of the game. Mo Wagner, I thought, was fantastic in this Final Four. He himself ran out of gas against Kansas, but, nothing new there. Everyone else did, too.
On the Michigan game, what I liked about when they played against Michigan was that they continued to fill it up. They continued to fill it up. And I think what happened with Michigan just didn't have enough weapons. Like, they didn't have enough. They went inside to their big, what they were supposed to do, but they immediately made an adjustment off of that. And then from there on, I mean, they really didn't have an answer. There was no really offensive threat. There was Muhammad Ali Abdul, and he had a little showing, but after that, nobody kind of showed up for that. They made their adjustment, and that was it. And that was the thing about me when I thought about when they played against Michigan. I said, I was like, when Loyola Chicago lost to Michigan, I said the issue is with them playing against Villanova is that Villanova has enough to stop Michigan. There's only really two threats that they have to worry about on Michigan. Where if they play Loyola Chicago in that state, that they had 5 guys on that team that could score, so it would have been tough. In matchups, they would have matched up really well to that team because they kind of like all on the same height, things like that, so they can match up guard to guard, play to play. So it was a matchup problem for Michigan, I believe, and that's kind of like where that kind of fell apart.
I agree, and look, Michigan kind of lost in the shuffle of all this is the fact that Michigan as a program has now lost 4 consecutive national title game appearances they've been in. And, obviously it's been different groups here over the years. It's not all the same group, but, Michigan in the big spot here has just come up short for a long, long time. Now, their last championship came in '89. So Beilein, I think, is not going to get the credit he really deserves until they win the whole thing, obviously, one year. But, I mean, really, this is a team that was seeded 5th, I think, in the Big Ten tournament at the beginning, towards the end of February and at the beginning of March there last month. They ride through the Big Ten tournament. They always seem to get hot at the end of the year. And once the tournament came along, they were fortunate in some games, i.e. Houston in the second round, but they were able to get through that and really just kind of cruise their way to the Final Four after that. And you're right, it was all about matchups. They just were a little bit short. And when you're taking it on a team, especially in the championship game, that can beat you in so many different ways and is so fundamentally sound, both up front and in the backcourt, what can you do? What can you do? You're just outgunned at that point. You brought up DiVincenzo before. I mean, 31 points off the bench. Are you kidding me? In the championship game? That's an all-time record.
You know what? But he's been rolling. He was rolling in the Final Four. And that's my thing. It's like, to me, because people were like, hey, out of the scout, like commentators were saying, like, oh, they should, this is the one guy that they nobody probably had in their scouting report. I'm like,
they should have.
They should have. Did you watch the Final Four? I mean, in the Final Four, he was lighting up in the Final Four. I mean, there's been many games. If you go down the list, there's been many games that DiVincenzo has really kept the team in the game or has won the game for them. He's like the old school Jason Terry when he was sixth man a year, or we could say
that's true.
Jamal Crawford type of player, where he's going to come off the bench, give you a spark, and he can either make a game go either 2 or 3 ways. He's like a starter within himself, you know, like he's that guy that you can come in, he can start, and he
proved that.
And yeah, he definitely proved it, and I think he would be the most. Honestly, the player of the year was Bronson. I got that, but basically, I would have been watching DiVincenzo's the more dangerous player. You know, the way he shoots the ball, he's a 3-point threat. And the thing is about the threes is that they can put you in the game or they can take you out of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And they can put you deep in the hole if they on. And what they did in the Final Four by putting teams deep in the hole, Kansas deep in the hole, it was very hard for them to take themselves out. Now, in the national championship, they weren't shooting the same way, but they did enough just to get them over the hump and then start rolling. I mean, next thing you know, teams will find themselves down 20 points.
That's what I'm saying.
Against them because
absolutely,
DiVincenzo got it started for them, and that team feeds off each other. That's the thing about what makes Villanova so dangerous is they kind of feed off each other, and so they just couldn't be stopped. And defensively, they just play sporadic. They play sporadic defense like a bunch of like bees swarming a hive. You know, that's the best way to put it. You know, you put the ball down on the floor, they're gonna dig it out, and they did a great job defensively containing their Michigan's bigs. And really making things uncomfortable for Muhammad Ali Abdul. So, you know, my thing is, you know, Michigan, yeah, I think those guys are tarnished for the fact that they never won the coaches because they never won a national championship. But on the flip side, I mean, they got there. They got to the national championship. There's something to build upon. And for Philly, I mean, what a great way for this. I'm just saying the city of Philadelphia, like in general, like
it's been surreal.
They've won a Super Bowl. They've won a national championship for basketball. And then here you got Charles Barkley coming out saying that they're going to win the NBA championship. I don't know how serious he was, but they said he was serious about saying that. But Charles says any crazy. Anything.
Might be a late April Fool's Day joke.
I think that's a real April Fool's Day. But I don't see nobody getting past Golden State. I don't care where they're at right now. But long story short, what a great for just the city of Philadelphia, man, in general.
Yeah, it's impressive. To me, down the stretch in the second half of that game, you could sum it up to the fact that Villanova's lead continued to increase as they came to the finish line, and that was while Brunson was on the bench.
Yeah.
That, to me, just speaks volumes, and it did. Wow.
Mind you, he was on the bench because he got a technical foul, and the coach pulled him out because he got a technical foul.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Wright did pull him out because of the technical foul, but man, oh man, when you have the AP Player of the Year is on the bench and you continue to increase your lead with guys like DiVincenzo, Booth, and everyone else they've got, all the firepower there on Villanova's squad, it was just impressive. To me, it was the most dominating performance in a championship game maybe since North Carolina back in 2009 against Michigan State, maybe Florida in 2007 when they completed the back-to-back. It was very dominating. We haven't seen that in a good amount of years, I think, in the championship game in college basketball. Complete team domination. It's what else can you say? What they were able to do, absolutely dismantled Michigan. You talked about Abdul Rahman, could never really get going. He was the guy who's going to need to be super hot for them to have any chance in this game. And Mo Wagner just ran out of gas at the end. I mean, that guy could not have done any more. I mean, totally outstanding performance by him. And, you know, as his Michigan career comes to an end, who knows what his future will hold potentially in the NBA or elsewhere. But, yeah, Michigan gave it all they got. Villanova just too good, too deep across the board. Like I said, 2 out of 3 championships now in the last couple of years. Jay Wright, This is a guy who he's only 56. He looks great. He seems like he's even younger, and that I always get confused. I forget that he is closing in on 60. I mean, he's going to be there a long time still. Who knows how they can just keep building on this. And I think the key is, though, is that they took advantage of their opportunity, Keith.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing. Because we hear this all the time in sports, especially with a younger team, a younger program, maybe a younger head coach or coaching staff. They'll be back next year. They'll get 3, 4, 5 more cracks at it. But you don't know. You don't know, especially in college basketball, as we saw, there's so much parity. And there's so many good programs and programs that are on the rise that maybe have never had national title exposure in past years. And obviously now with the likes of a Loyola Chicago getting the attention, potentially getting some new recruits, a lot more of the national spotlight is to come for them and other schools who made waves in this NCAA tournament. You just don't know, and that's why, to me, in addition to the dominance of Villanova in this game, one of the biggest takeaways is that they took advantage of their opportunity and they seized the moment to win a championship, because you don't know. You only get so many cracks at this, and you just don't know. I mean, look at Bill Self.
Yeah.
Look at Bill Self. I mean, they won it in 08, and that took overtime to win that game. And he's only been back now to the Final Four twice, in 2012, and I think here in 18 was the second time since they won it all in 08. You just don't know, and they ran into a total buzzsaw. A lot of people thought that they would maybe beat Villanova. If not, that would be a tight game. Never in doubt on Saturday night, as we saw. So you just don't know. You got to take advantage of the opportunities.
You're right. I mean, I thought they would take care of Villanova. And like you said, I mean, they have now already, I know it's early in 2000, they have the 2019 odds, and they have Duke winning it all right
Vegas
now.
Never sleeps.
It doesn't. They have Kansas, I guess, ahead of Villanova. So, it's early right now. But, I mean, players are getting better. There's getting better talent these days. They're getting bigger. They're getting stronger. And so, it's going to – and then you got guys that are leaving early to go make a jump in the NBA and – elsewhere. And so, it is. You just don't know when you're going to be back there. So when you're there, you try to take advantage of what you have at that moment. And it's just, you want to have the best showing as possible. And sometimes it wears on players. I get it. Back-to-back games, night games, the Final Four on one night, and then you only have a day's rest. And then all of a sudden you go ahead and you play the next day. So it's a tough thing. So it's what a way to end their season, for Villanova's sake. And, I know Kansas and Michigan, I know they're upset, but, I mean, they got there.
Yeah.
And not too many teams have done that. So that's how I look at what something they can build upon for next season. And those new guys that come in, it's just, hey, this type of program we have, we're looking to go past March. We're looking to go past February, going into March, deep into March, and we're looking for someone's like, hey, we're looking to go past Final Four. That's the thing about Villanova. Villanova was on a mission, and if you notice, when they got to the Final Four, no one celebrated. Nobody celebrated when they even celebrated. If you watched them, they didn't really celebrate when they was going back to the national championship.
No, they didn't.
They only celebrated when they won the national championship. And why? Because they had unfinished business to do. The year before that, they played against North Carolina, and they lost at the buzzer, and that hurts.
Villanova beat North Carolina at the buzzer.
No.
In 16. Oh, you're talking about Carolina.
Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Carolina lost. Right, exactly. They came back the next year.
Carolina and hit it at the buzzer, and Carolina beat them at the buzzer. I believe that's what.
Last year when they beat Gonzaga?
They beat Gonzaga.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, 2016, Villanova, you had the Jenkins shot at the buzzer to beat Carolina. And then last year we saw Carolina come all the way back to win it.
That's right.
Against Gonzaga. And then obviously this year Villanova goes 2 out of 3 championships in the last couple of years.
Sorry, folks out there. I had my whole games twisted up. But what I'm getting at is that they had something to build up on.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
And that's what they're looking at. So, well, it's that's what you look at. It's like, hey, we want to build from here. Villanova wants to win it back-to-back next year, of course. They want their players to shoot for something high as a back-to-back national championship, something that hasn't really been done in college basketball.
Florida would be the last
the
team.
last person to ever do something like that. And then you got, Michigan, and you have Florida State, and you have Kansas. Loyola Chicago has something to shoot for, is getting back in the tournament and getting to a national championship. So Florida State has something to get into the Final Four. So everybody has something to build up on. So that's the thing about how the program changes, and the mindset of these players and these coaches going into 2019 season.
213-261-7491 to weigh in on the conversation. 213-261-7491. Should DiVincenzo go pro?
No.
Why not?
Because there's really only thing really like I see from DiVincenzo is he's a great shooter, but he's not the best coming off like creating his own shot. He can come off a screen, off an on-ball screen, and drive to the basket. But in the NBA, it's a little different. You're bigger, you're stronger. You got to learn how to create your own shot, create space, and getting off shot, head fakes, things like that I haven't seen from him yet. So I would say no. Has his stock went up? Yes. Is he a pure shooter? Yes. But if I was him, I would wait. You got another year, go higher in the draft. This draft's going to be thick. It's going to be deep. Regardless of what happened, Marvin Bagley is going to be the number one pick in the NBA draft. Michael Porter Jr., who hadn't have a great season, he's still going to be probably a first-round pick. And people are going to take a chance on him. I don't know why. He hurt himself, and he really hasn't proven anything. I know his stock has fallen, but the fact that he remains is he was still also one of the top high school players in the country, and the only reason he was injured, he changed that program.
People see potential.
Yeah, they see potential. So when you look at it, there's a lot of players out there that really earn stock. You got the boys from, you got to have the boys from Nevada, the Twins, who to me played them way in the league. You got Newman out there who can shoot the ball and get to the basket.
From Kansas,
Yeah. You got Anton from Arizona, who's going to be a high pick, maybe the second pick. So, and then you got Carter Jr., you got guys from Duke, some guys out there. So it's going to be a deep draft. And for DiVincenzo, I would look at, if I'm not a first rounder, not getting a contract, I'm not coming out. And I don't think he's going to be a first rounder.
I agree. I don't think he should come out either. Guys we all know about the one and done situation, and so many guys just want to come out right away and try and put their stamp on the NBA. Why not just come back a year?
Yeah.
Why not come back a year or two if you're a freshman? Obviously, the Bagleys and DeAndre Aytons are anomalies because of how talented they are. But, I mean, if you're a player who has had a solid freshman year in college, don't risk going to the NBA. Come back another year. I mean, guys want to come to the NBA so much they think they're going to be LeBron in their first year and go to the finals. You're going to have a lot more opportunities for excitement and to better yourself and chances to win in college than you are going right to the NBA number one right away. You know what I mean? You're not going to have the overnight success in the NBA. I've talked about this before, but in the history of the NBA, there's only been a handful of examples of players who have gone straight from straight from high school right to the NBA that have been phenomenal successes. You can count them on one hand, and I just think we focus too much on those guys, and it doesn't happen all the time. It just does not happen, and even for guys who are one and done in college don't always have the best of success in the NBA right away. Point is that the NBA is a totally different animal from college, and
Definitely
you might as well come back and better yourself in college because, I mean, there is no March Madness in the NBA. There's no one shining moment. There's nothing like that. It's different. You're getting into a business, first and foremost, and then you're getting into the league itself and trying to compete with LeBron, the Cavs, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, the Warriors, James Harden, Chris Paul down in Houston. The list goes on.
Yeah.
There's so many pockets of talented players and teams across the association right now. It's a tall order to come in and to think you're just going to dominate the league right away as a rookie. There's exceptions, obviously, but it's just not the norm.
Yeah, and my thing is, some of these guys have relationships with NBA players, and they should talk to them and ask them and fill them out before they make their ultimate decision. I mean, I hope they would. And, stop listening to, like, an agent that just wants to, like, just money hungry and just wants to get money.
Mm-hmm.
But really, like, something that's going to benefit your career because, man, what a guy told me one time was, like, he was going and he had his NBA trial and NBA camp. And he was like, man, he was a dominant college player. And he told me that NBA is a whole different thing. I was coming off screens and guys would control you on one hand and how you come off the screen. They already knew just off of body control which way, if you were fading the screen, if you was curling the screen, if you're coming off the screen for a down screen, they would already know. Guys are more smarter, they're more stronger, they're faster. Then he told me that, because he was at the Lakers camp, he saw NBA, he saw Kobe Bryant work out, he was working out. And he said all those crazy shots you saw Kobe shooting in his whole career off of one leg over the backboard, falling out of bounds, those type of, like, he was really practicing those shots, and he was shoot like 100 of those after workout, things like that. So that would just tell you just in terms of how deep you got to be mindset and everything's going into the NBA. Even though Kobe's not in the NBA and he's very rare of a player, you get those, but you get different caliber players that really, like, that's what they, this is what they do for a living, is put the ball in the basket. That's all they're there for, is put the ball in the basket. And these guys practice every single day. These guys are getting older, but they're getting stronger, they're getting wiser, and they do things, they know when they get older they have to do things that are different than what they're accustomed to doing when they were younger. So, and they know the game very well. So they should talk to, I hope they are when they make that decision, when they make that jump, that they're actually talking to some of these guys, these NBA players. And these NBA players, these veteran guys that have been in the game for a long time, that they're giving them, like, some real legit advice, maybe telling these guys, wait another year. Trae Young is prime example. Real skinny guy. Yes, he can score, but his stock kind of dropped when he went to the NCAA tournament a little bit. But he's going to be a pick in the NBA. But should he have stayed, got a little bigger, get a little stronger? Yes, I think so. And, because those guys like Steph Curry's going to eat him up. Just ask Lonzo Lonzo was the talk of the town and this and that until he went into the NBA. And you see what somebody like his first game, he played Patrick Beverly. And Patrick Beverly got in his tail. Then the next night he played Damian Lillard. And Damian Lillard just even ate him up even worse. And it was just really bad. And then gave him a wake-up call for a minute. He's adapted, but really he hasn't adapted to what the Laker fans and everybody wants to see him to be.
Not yet.
It's not yet, and it may be another year or so for that to happen. Look at Mark Ingram. It's taken him like 2 years to really show his real potential. So that's my saying. Kyle Kuzma is right 4 years at Utah, coming out the league, coming in playing and giving the Lakers immediate production. Why? Because he stayed 4 years, he's got his body right, a little bit older, a little bit strong, a little bit wide. You can tell his athleticism, his gameplay was far above Lonzo's. And even Mark Ingram.
It's night and day.
Yeah.
You can't even compare it. I agree. Trae Young, he's going to be a pick, obviously, in the draft in June. He will be no better than Lonzo Ball come next year.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if we saw any different. Like you said, I mean, he's going to be eaten up by the Steph Currys of the world and everyone else. It's such a big difference. Like you said, perfect example of Kuzma, 4 years in college versus one and done. Just from all kind of levels, from physicality, maturity, you name it. There's such a difference on it, and it kind of reminds me of, the old promotional clip for the PGA Tour, these guys are good.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that in a sense.
Yeah.
These guys are really good in the NBA, and it's not college anymore, and if you're not ready to go 100%, you're just not going to be there. You're not going to be able to perform at the level that you're accustomed to, and there's obviously going to be a big learning curve. So that's where it stands. It's going to be a fun draft, though, to see where guys go. You and I both like Bagley number 1. DeAndre Ayton probably will stay at 2 unless more details about the Arizona situation comes out that maybe drop his draft status. We'll keep an eye on that, though. We're also keeping an eye on everything else that's going on in the world of sports here at Behind the Mic. After the break, we'll talk about the Rams' big acquisition yesterday of Brandon Cooks coming over from New England, what it means for the team. He replaces Sammy Watkins in that number 1 receiver role. We'll get into it tonight. Dodgers, first week under their belt, 2-5. It's been a little shaky. We'll discuss it. The Angels have been good. Shohei Ohtani's been impressive after week number 1. Angels won today 3-2 over Cleveland. The Dodgers fell on the road to Arizona 3-0. Masters coming up tomorrow. Tiger Woods tees off in the morning. Got to wake up early to watch it here on the West Coast. It's going to be fun.
Tiger Woods, y'all. It's all good, y'all.
We'll talk about that. And also later tonight, LeBron versus Nick Saban. What is going on between those two? We'll discuss it and everything else here on Behind the Mic. Brad and Keith, live from Grunion Sports Bar and Grill, going into 9 o'clock.
Our military service members volunteer to protect us in the most dangerous places around the world. They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road home. Beyond all the hospitals and doctors and surgeries they need just to survive, they also deserve whatever they need to truly live. All the in-home care and day-to-day help they need to live independently, on their own terms. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs were established to provide these brave men and women whatever they need to continue their fight for independence, at no cost, for life. So many of them need us, and it's time for a grateful nation to step up. Find out how you can do your part at findwwp.org.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? Shifting to a system based on primary care can help fix the problem. Patients with a primary care doctor live longer, healthier lives and are less likely to suffer from cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Primary care that is comprehensive and coordinated also saves money. Patients who have a primary care doctor spend 30% less on health care than patients who don't. States with a high number of primary care doctors have lower health care costs and higher quality care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
You're listening to Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Take us with you on the go wherever you may be. Download the official Behind the Mic app today. Check out our podcast on iHeartRadio. Welcome back inside Behind the Mic here at Grunion Sports Bar and Grill, Manhattan Beach, Wednesday evenings. Brad and Keith hanging out. We put a wrap on college basketball. March Madness this year was great. We will remember the tournament for a very, very long time. The odds makers in Vegas and Westgate already have their favorites for next season and beyond as well. We talked about Jay Wright and where he currently stands as far as the pecking order goes for some of the best coaches in all of college basketball at this point in time. It's been impressive what he's been able to do with that Villanova program. Let's get into some NFL news now. By the way, if you want to weigh in, the number is 213-261-7491, 213-261-7491. The big news that came down yesterday here in LA, the Rams. This offseason, the wheeling and dealing, the trend continues here, Keith. They pick up Brandon Cooks from New England. They ship their first-round pick to the Patriots, 23 overall. So the Patriots move up a bit in the draft in addition to 31 overall. The Patriots also pick now at 23. The Rams, they continue to get talent here in L.A. It has been obviously now solidified that they're going for it here in 2018. All the chips are in. Obviously, they're going to have some big contracts down the road, but at this point, it's win now. Worry about that later. You got to love this. I mean, Cooks had a good year last year for the Patriots, a lot of big catches. Kind of came up short as far as injuries go in the Super Bowl. That unfortunate hit he took, he was out for the rest of the game. But when he's been healthy on the field there, he's been good. A good quality receiver in New Orleans, in New England. And now he comes here to an LA Rams team, like I said, who is replacing Sammy Watkins. Cooks will presumably go into the number one role. You still have Robert Woods at receiver as well. Todd Gurley coming out of the backfield, Jared Goff. This is shaping up to be a very talented Rams team in all three phases.
Yeah, definitely. You're absolutely right on that. In a way, at one point, I was scratching my head, like, why did the Patriots give up Brandon Cooks? Which, good for the Rams, you know. It's when you see that happen, when, you know, when you lose in Sammy Watkins, you're like, wow, we lost a really premier receiver. Well, how about we just acquire Brandon Cooks? Where it's like, wow, that matches, or even a little better. You know, now you got a downhill threat. He can blow past pretty much anybody in the NFL league, and they're gonna look great, man. They're gonna be a good team. They did lose Robert Quinn, their defensive player, Robert Quinn.
Now in Miami.
But for the most part here, you know, the Rams put themselves in great positions, like you said. To me, it makes them catapult themselves as maybe in the NFC, maybe the top 2, top 3, maybe as a top 2, top 3 team right now.
In the whole conference?
In the whole conference.
Absolutely. They've got to be right up there with New Orleans.
Yeah.
Also, the Eagles are up there as well.
Exactly.
They're what they've been able to do with all this talent. They're spreading the wealth, if you will, throughout offense, defense, special teams.
Yeah.
They're making a great case for it. They're going to come flying out of the gates here, you would think, in 2018, and we haven't even gotten to OTAs yet.
No.
So this team has done everything they've really can in this free agency period at the beginning of the league year here to bolster up and to get players in certain positions in which they were lacking last year. That was the big thing. They were lacking big plays most of the time. They were lacking big-time players who could step up and make plays at crucial moments in the game. And they've been able to fill some of those holes here, at least on paper so far. You got to love it. There's some oomph and some pizzazz now to this Rams team. I think you saw it last year on defense. Wade Phillips somewhat embodies that, so it trickled down to the players on defense. We talked about that before. And I think you're seeing it now on offense, though, as well. The McVay, Jared Goff, head coach, quarterback tandem, and now you're seeing it throughout the rest of the offense.
You're absolutely right. And to me, that's why when this trade went down, I was scratching my head like Bill Belichick. Of course, I never questioned Bill Belichick because he may have something else up his sleeves. I don't know. But it makes you think for a second. I'm like, wait a minute, man. Like, Brandon Cooks just came when he was acquired from New Orleans and went to the New England Patriots. I mean, he immediately helped the Patriots. I mean, he was the closest thing to me is when they had Randy Moss.
Yep.
And they now had that downhill threat. They had what they needed. You got Julian Edelman coming back with him, and that's going to be just really hard to stop. So, but to give him up, I guess Bill Belichick has something up his sleeves. I don't know, and that's the question is, what is Bill Belichick doing? Is he going for a backup quarterback? Is he going for an offensive line, or is he going for Odell? Because he's now put the Rams out the running of getting an Odell Beckham since quote unquote New York Giants is shopping Odell Beckham.
Right.
Which I don't know. We don't know nothing. I mean,
they're unofficially
shopping him. So. Maybe they're saying things and they're really, I don't know. Who knows? I would think that Bill Belichick knows something more than anybody else knows and probably did make that move because he's talked to probably somebody in those organizations like, hey, if you're getting rid of him, let me know now because I want to make some moves in order to help us out. We can help each other out. Who knows? But Bill Belichick gave basically a Christmas gift to the Los Angeles Rams.
Really did.
And that's a great player to have on their team. Again, a guy who can practically blow by anybody in the league. And Jared Goff is just getting better by the day. So the Rams are they're like you said, they on the defensive end to the offensive end, they just gotten better. And I'll have to say that I think they're taking it serious. I think they know that they may run up against the San Francisco. They want to be ready for that. San Francisco, Philadelphia, they're going to run up against those players, and they want to be ready for that. So let's see what happens, man. I don't know.
Yeah, San Francisco is going to be able to compete from day one, even a lot sooner than what I think people think for the most part, especially adding Sherman now on defense and the star power of their own up there by the Bay that they're going to bring to the table right away. It's going to be Rams and San Francisco, I think, from day one, week one in the NFL, competing. We talked about this as far as the West goes, as the division is concerned. Seattle takes a step back, presumably. Arizona, just not there yet. I'm not really buying into Sam Bradford leading them to a winning record in 2018. So, yeah, you've got Rams 1, San Francisco 2, and Seattle 3, I think, to start the year in the NFC West. And they've added players now, the Rams, and it's just a matter of being able to go into practice, go into OTAs, head into eventually training camp, and put it all together.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. They have a young, healthy roster for the most part here heading into next season. You got to love it as a Rams fan at this point in time. The Chargers have been very quiet compared to the Rams this offseason, and it makes you a little bit concerned in the sense of if the Chargers, there's always pressure on them, and we know they've been historically bad as far as getting off the slow starts are concerned over the last couple of years. So there's no question the Rams have dominated the airwaves, and this offseason what they've been able to do as far as getting moves done, trades, bringing guys in, shedding salary, being on top of it. This is a new era of Rams football from top to bottom, And you've seen that over the past year or so, ever since they've hired Sean McVay to be the new head coach. And, he's going into year 2. And this is, we usually see it within the first couple of years when head coaches win championships, especially in football. It usually happens within the first 3-4 years or so.
Yeah.
So you're already seeing the groundwork and laying the foundation for what they hope is a championship run, if not this year, really close in the near future. They're definitely closer to making that run than later. At this point in time, this looks like a deep playoff team just on paper and what we've seen with the move so far this offseason. So the Rams are going in a great direction as far as that is concerned. With New England, and by the way, so the Rams now are out of the Beckham sweepstakes. We know that. By them getting Cooks, they're out of it, which is probably good for the Rams. We talked about how OBJ needs a destination where it's a franchise that has been embedded in winning for a long time, preferably a solid foundation from top to bottom. The Rams still a young team, probably not the best destination point for him. So the Rams, I think, avoid any potential future headaches as far as what a Beckham would pose. New England, though, now, obviously it's being floated around, speculation, potentially they go after him. It doesn't seem to make sense, though. It's not really the Patriot way, not to mention the fact they would have to pay him a lot of money. He would be getting paid presumably more than Brady would currently. Yeah. It just doesn't seem like it would add up. Like you talked about before off the air, before the show, Keith, why would the Giants send a player like Beckham to the Patriots? Now, they don't play each other usually, but still, you're talking about two teams that have history together and two franchises that have been historically very good in the NFL's history. So it doesn't make sense on a lot of fronts. However, at the same time, maybe this is what Belichick is planning. There was an anonymous source, NFL executive, who was quoted yesterday as saying that when Belichick makes moves like this, usually it gets teams concerned and a little worried, kind of looking over their shoulder type of thing, that effect, because they don't know what's to come. And it could wind up benefiting New England in a big-time way. Of course, so many teams for so long now have been trying to get up to New England's pace, and you just don't know, and maybe that's what they're trying to do. New York has unofficially said, as we'll go with that unofficial tag of them trying to shop OBJ, they want 2 first-round picks. New England's got that now with 23 and 31 overall. Perhaps there's the 2 first-round picks right there. The hardest thing for me to get over, though, is the money and how you justify it. Unless Beckham has this complete renaissance as far as being a player who's all about winning now and is all about being part of a team. Now, if there's any organization that's going to be able to turn a player on a dime like that, it would be New England. But I don't know. To me, the planets have to align for this to happen. And although it's starting to shape up, it's still a long way to go. I think it's still a long shot. I think it's a long shot that Beckham even leaves New York.
Exactly.
I still think he stays there ultimately. But this is good food for thought here.
It definitely is. I don't know if Odell Beckham's going to be leaving. First off, if he leaves, does it make sense for the Giants to shop him? I think it makes sense because they haven't won without him. They haven't won with him. I think Sterling Shepard's their guy. Do they lose ticket sales? They may. They may lose ticket sales. But Eli Manning's there. He still can be the face of the place. Eli Manning has a huge fan base as well. And then what you also have to wonder is the off-the-field issues, the off-the-thing issues that have been going on with the Giants as well, with Odell Beckham. So the distractions he's had for the team, does the Patriots want that? Do they want those distractions? So you got to look at those type of things. So when I look at it, I say, hey, if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, it just doesn't. And right now, to me, it just doesn't make sense for them to pick him up at this moment in time.
It doesn't. It just doesn't. It like I said, it goes against the Patriot way, everything that they've been trying to do and the moves they make. And again, he would be getting paid more than Brady. You got to figure $50-60 million they would have to kind of set aside here for Beckham. He's going to want to be paid the highest receiver in the game, one of the top players in the game. They don't usually give out contracts like that. And as far as the Giants go, I agree, Keith. We've talked about this extensively here on Behind the Mic. They have not won with Beckham. They've hardly ever scored 30 points as a team. with him there and with everything that he's been able to do. So it really just seems that it would not happen at the end of the day for both sides, but you just don't know. You don't know, and again, things are starting to shape up for New England as far as getting what the Giants are asking for with the 2 first-round picks. Patriots have a lot of needs come draft time here. The NFL draft, by the way, just 3 weeks away, 3 weeks from tomorrow to be specific. So we're coming up real soon, and it's going to be interesting. The Rams actually now, they've traded away so many of their picks. They're going to first pick here. I think they pick closer towards the end of the first round. That's the Rams' first pick in the draft. So the Rams have given away a lot of their picks. Like I said before, a lot of this goes back to how the Rams are all in here in 2018.
Yeah, you're totally right. So, look, the Rams put themselves in a great position. We can say that, right? The Rams put themselves in a great position. The Patriots still, and a bunch of Patriots fans, we're probably still scratching our head because we don't know what the hell Bill Belichick is doing right now. But for the most part, you got to, like they say, trust the process and just see what comes out. The draft is going to be very important. But you know what else I say this? I still say the front runner, if they're anywhere, the front runner for Odell Beckham, I think would be the Browns. Because a
lot of people like that idea.
Because the Browns have they got the top picks. They got the first pick and then they got the third pick. You can go out of Saquon Barkley on your first pick and then get a quarterback, your third pick. And then you can trade them away for the Giants and Odell Beckham.
Why would you do that, though, if you're Cleveland? A team who's in dire need of a quarterback. Saquon Barkley is a generational type of talent, potentially.
Because, really, you got Tyrod Taylor there who can scramble.
Stop it with Tyrod Taylor.
I'm going to tell you it again.
He's not that good.
Tyrod Taylor who can scramble, and he can throw the short passes. He's better than Blake Bortles. I can say that.
Has he ever been to a championship game?
It doesn't matter. He's better than Blake Bortles. He's a better quarterback than Blake Bortles. He's a better quarterback than, I can go down the list. Who other quarterbacks are out there? Name some. Andy Dalton. He's not better than Andy Dalton.
No, I disagree. I think he's probably better than Andy Dalton.
What I'm saying is,
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Tyrod Taylor can throw the ball, short passes. He can throw. He's not maybe the best accurate long thrower passer, but short passes, 15 and out, 10 yards and out. Oh, he'll deliver it. He can throw strikes. And for you to have somebody like Jarvis Landry on your team, that was the number one receiver for the Miami Dolphins, and then to acquire Odell Beckham on the other side, dude, they're going to get separation. All you got to do is deliver the ball to him, and that's it. And give him those 10 to 15 yards out. It makes a lot of sense. It does, because then in the box, you can't really stack 8 in the box with Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry out there, and you're going to have to watch Tyrod Taylor because he likes to use his feet more than he likes to throw. And he will get 10, 15 yards off a run, and he can run with the best of them. He's a pretty fast runner. So he has given the Patriots problems historically. He's given the Patriots problems. And I can think, that's the better situation I would think he would go to. Now, it's not the best ideal for the Odell Beckham, so to say. He likes to go to the big markets.
Right.
But maybe this will help him in that, in terms of distractions. He's there probably with his boy. He won't be, it's less trouble he would get into in Cleveland. Now, if he goes to the Patriots, yes, he will have, Bill Belichick has no room for, or tolerance, zero tolerance for any type of, you have to be very disciplined to go to Bill Belichick's, to his type of thing. You have to be on time at practices. You can't be late. You can't be going out and doing whatever and then coming back, come back and be late. He will bench you. He's the type of guy, just ask Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
In a Super Bowl, for that matter. He does not care. He's about his whole motto, do your job. That's his motto. Do your job when you're here. And if you can't live by that, then he gets rid of you. So if Odell has to have the mindset to go to New England, he has to have that mindset that, okay, that discipline, okay, this is what it's going to be if I go here. And then you got to know what he's about. Is he about championships or is he about the money? Do you want to win a championship? Do you want to be known as Odell Beckham, one of the best receivers, but never won a ring? Or you want to be known as Odell Beckham, one of the greatest receivers that's won a ring? Now you can leave the New England Patriots after 1 year and then you go somewhere else and get you more money. Because ideally, that's what Bill Belichick's going to do anyway. Look what happened to Brandon Cooks. He didn't get his. He go elsewhere. If we ain't going to pay you, then we ain't going to, we're not going to pay you. That's not what he does.
I could tell you this. If Odell goes through another year in which his team goes, 3-13, something like that, yeah, he's going to want to go to a winning organization. I don't think there's any doubt about it at all. Yeah. Also, if I'm Cleveland, let me keep my 2 picks at the top of the draft. I'll take my 2 picks at the top of the draft. I'll take a quarterback who's fresh out of college versus a 28-year-old Tyrod Taylor. Yes, Taylor's been good sporadically at points in time. Yes, he has given the Patriots trouble in the AFC East. But I'll take my chances with a Sam Darnold or a Josh Rosen. Or I'll even take my chances with a Josh Allen at the top of the draft. And give me Saquon Barkley number 1 overall. I love what he's been able to do here in college. He's been phenomenal. Obviously, great career at Penn State. I'm taking him 1 overall if I'm Cleveland. That's what I'm doing. And then I'm taking whoever's left with the quarterbacks because I'm either going to get Darnold, Allen, or Rosen when I pick a couple selections later. So I don't trade away the picks. It's a unique situation that Cleveland is in to have 2 top 5 picks in the same draft. We don't see that every year. I'm not trading them away, especially for a guy who has had problems, listening to authority and being a model teammate and everything like that. I just think it's going to be a hard thing to do. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out in regards to that overall. Now, lots of other stuff to get into now across the NFL. There's other news and notes. We've talked about the OBJ situation as far as the Giants are concerned. We were talking about the Patriots there as well. Maybe, they traded away Cooks here to the Rams. Maybe trying to make a play for Beckham. Maybe not. We'll have to see. We know this has been an interesting offseason for the Patriots so far, Keith, since they lost the Super Bowl in February in Minneapolis. There's been different reports that have come out about a lot of different things. How many more years is Belichick going to coach the team? How many more years is Brady going to play? Is Gronk going to be traded? We've heard that talk. Is Gronk going to go Hollywood on us? We've also heard talk about that potentially. He's able to do some things out here in Los Angeles in the future. There's a lot of chatter that's going on with the Patriots, with Rob Gronkowski specifically. To talk more about that, we now bring in TMZ senior producer Mike Babcock. Mike, how are things going tonight?
What's up, Brad? How are you?
Doing great. Keith and I are hanging out here as we usually do from Grunions on a Wednesday evening, talking a whole lot of sports to a whole lot of people. There's so much to get into right now. It's a great sports week. We were talking about it from March Madness ending, so you got the Masters this weekend, the NFL in full swing as far as off-season mode goes, and we have baseball back as well here in LA. So there's lots going on. I want to talk about this Gronkowski situation, though, and there's just been so much chitter-chatter here and there. It's hard to know what to believe exactly. Different reports have come out, again, saying that there's strife within the Patriots organization. You had an ex-Patriot tight end come out, basically, and said that Gronkowski is kind of sick of not getting paid. That's a big part of his frustration here, is not getting paid like a true tight end. We know the Patriots' stance on it, obviously, at least unofficially, is that we all know Gronk has had injury problems. What's your take on the situation right now with Gronk and the Patriots as an organization?
First of all, I'm very jealous that you guys are down there at the bar and I'm sitting in my living room here. But it's been such a crazy offseason. I can't remember anyone more crazy than this. I called Jermaine Wiggins, you said, an ex-tight end of the Patriots. And like you said, there's rumors, there's innuendo. Is Gronk on the trading block? Is he going to play football next year? So Jermaine Wiggins is a guy who won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. He does radio in New England, so he's very plugged in, still very close to the team. So gave him a call, wanted to see if he had heard anything on the Gronk trade front. And he said no. He said he believed it to be just rumors, though he said, outside of Tom Brady, everybody on the Patriots is tradable. So he didn't say it could never happen, but he hadn't heard anything about Gronk being traded. The more interesting thing, though, that I thought he said was that he really believes that Rob Gronkowski is frustrated with his deal. He says that Gronk is not happy with the amount of money he's being paid. Gronk getting around $9 million a year or so. But Jermaine Wiggins says that Rob Gronkowski deserves to be paid like an Antonio Brown, like a Julio Jones, like one of the most explosive playmakers in the league. And Jermaine Wiggins thinks that's where a lot of this I don't know if I'm going to play football next year stuff is coming from.
You know what? When you say that, Mike, it's interesting because they just got rid of Brandon Cooks, and then people don't know what's next for him. So it does as well raise an eyebrow in a way, like, is Gronk the next to go? Or what's Bill Belichick's next move? We had just talked about this just recently, and what was his next move be? Because, is he trying to make a play for Odell Beckham? Is he trying to prepare for the future with a backup quarterback for when Tom Brady leaves? Or is there something in the works of tight end Rob Gronkowski leaving? So when we see that on TMZ Sports that Jermaine Wiggins came out and said, when he said it, it's like, well, maybe is this really the situation? Is Rob Gronkowski, his pay, him not getting paid, is that really the issue of what his frustration lies? And it seems like that's what it is, right?
Yeah, I think you brought up Brandon Cooks, Keith. I think with him being traded, it's hard for me to imagine that, Bill Belichick in his genius would get rid of all Tom Brady's, main weapons. So it's hard for me to believe that a trade is on the horizon now, if it ever was. But I really do think it's interesting. Rob Gronkowski is a guy who is very famous, and I think you brought it up, Brad. He has a lot of opportunities. He has opportunities out here in Los Angeles. We know the wrestling thing is there. He's best friends with Mojo Rawley. He has a good relationship with the WWE. So there's no shortage of things that Rob Gronkowski could do outside of football. So if he doesn't feel he's getting paid what he's worth, he's 28 years old. He's really young. But is it outside of the realm of possibility that he stepped away from football? I really don't think so.
Mike Babcock joining us here on Behind the Mic from TMZ Sports, discussing Rob Gronkowski and the New England Patriots, where they're at right now. You talked about his contract before, Mike. He's slated to make $8 million here in 2018. It bumps up slightly to $9 million in 2019. He's got roster bonuses as well, but again, he wants to be paid like a top-tier player. Patriots are all about team first. We always hear next man up, Patriot way. They don't usually go out of their way for players, and Gronk obviously has the injury history as well. And you wonder how many more years he's going to play. I think that's really what this comes down to. How many more years can he play at that physical type of level with how much of a beating his body takes? What is your sense of Gronkowski at this point in time? How many more years he can play? I mean, I would be astonished if he played 5 more years. I think if he gets to 5 more years, that would be impressive in itself.
Yeah, look, when you're questioning coming back next year, 5 years, you're right, Brad, is hard for me to imagine. I was just sitting here thinking earlier today, though, that Tom Brady is 40, and, I don't know where the end is for Tom Brady. He wants to keep going, and Rob is questioning whether he's going to play this upcoming season. So it's pretty crazy. The one thing I'll say about the injuries, yes, he gets hurt. We know he plays a very physical game, but the guy was great last year. You could have made an MVP case for him last year. So as often as he's been hurt, he is effective. You can't argue that. It's funny. In fact, when I asked Jermaine today, forget comparing Gronk to tight ends, compare him to the elite wide receivers, the explosive guys like Julio Jones and Odell Beckham and Antonio Brown. I said, is Rob Gronkowski more valuable than those guys? And he said, yes, by far. So in his mind, it's not even close. And that gives you an idea of just how great of a player people around the league feel like Gronk is.
Yeah, and that was my next question to you is, do you think when that was the one thing I actually, when I listened to that interview that you guys did with Jermaine Wiggins, is do you think he's up there? Should he get paid $15 to $16 million at the age that he is? Do you agree, Bab, that Babcock, that he should get paid that? Or you think the Patriots are in trouble if they don't pay him that he will go elsewhere or he will retire?
Yeah, I do, especially because he's not even the highest paid tight end in the league. So, fine, if you don't want to pay him like a wide receiver, I understand that. But he's not even the highest paid tight end in the league. And I think we're getting close to a point where an argument could be made that he's the greatest tight end ever. Maybe hasn't had the greatest career, but he's the most dynamic tight end ever, if you ask me.
What does Jermaine feel is the real culprit of the problem right now in New England? Is the tension really real? We've had reports about this come out as far back as the beginning of last season with different reports from ESPN and other media outlets as well. Where is the true source of frustration? Does it come from Belichick? Is that where the frustration lies for Gronkowski, for maybe Brady more privately as well? What is Jermaine's take on that? What is causing the strife in New England? We seem to know it's not Robert Kraft. That seems to be pretty much off the table here. Kraft and Brady are more of a closer unit than Belichick and Brady are, as it seems to be at least. What is your take on that? What does Jermaine think?
It's not something I touched on with him here, but I'm not sure there is a whole bunch of strife, to be honest. I mean, we should still remember that they went to the Super Bowl last year. They lost the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl the year before. I just, for any other franchise, I mean, things would be going great, but it's when the Patriots don't win a Super Bowl, and then a lot is made, is there a disconnect between the quarterback and the coach and the owner? I'm not sure that there really is all that much of a disconnect. I think, one of the most basic things is, the motivation of money. And I think that's all it comes down to. I don't know if there's this great deal of infighting that's happening inside the Patriots. I think that's much more diabolical. I think with Gronk, it might just come down to, hey, pay me a little bit more money and I'll play football for you.
Do you think, Bab, that Hollywood's kind of took an effect on Gronkowski in a way? The other opportunities that he has, this is why you think Jermaine was saying that's probably where the frustration lies, is the getting paid the much money, because he's probably getting other people in his ear saying, hey, we can pay you X amount of dollars, and you don't have to get hit in the field and get worried about injuries at all. Do you think that's where the Patriots' Achilles heel, so to speak?
Yeah, I'm sure that the fact that Rob has other options out there and he doesn't feel like he has to play football, I'm sure that plays into all of this. I mean, let's be honest. Football, for the most part, unless you're a quarterback, is a faceless game. These guys are wearing helmets, and most common fans are not familiar with all 53 guys on the roster. But Rob Gronkowski happens to be one of those guys who is a face that people know, and people know his name. So do I think the fact that Rob Gronkowski has other options available, do I think that plays into him not feeling like he has to play football to make a living and to survive? Yeah, I'm sure. And I don't blame him for that, by the way.
Follow him at Mike J. Babcock on Twitter. Hey, Mike, really appreciate the insights here. We know you're working hard over there at TMZ Sports. Don't forget, check out TMZ Sports weeknights on FS1, all the great stuff they're putting out. Mike, we appreciate the time here tonight, and, keep us up to speed as you always do with the latest news in the world of sports and the NFL offseason, because that's our top sport here. We love football.
It's been a lot of fun.
For me, it is.
Brad and Keith, thank you guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
I love it myself, too. It's been a ton of fun, and I appreciate you guys having me.
All right, man. Take care, Mike.
Okay. Take care, Keith. Right, thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Mike. There he goes again. Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports checking in here on Behind the Mic. Football is my top sport. I know you're basketball. Yeah. Basketball is your top.
No, I love football, too. But he makes a great – I don't know. I think after talking to Mike about Jermaine Wiggins and getting his field on things, I really do think it does also have to do with money.
Oh, yeah. And
in Hollywood.
Because for whatever reason, we don't know who he's associating with out here in Hollywood. I mean, there's been different rumors about him teaming up with The Rock, some other guys, other celebrities as well. We don't know specifically who's in his ear out here, but clearly somebody is. Yes. And there has definitely been somewhat of a tide turning situation. We didn't see this in previous years.
Yeah.
We didn't see this after Houston last year in the Super Bowl. We didn't see it in the years prior. There's a difference this year, and we know that his family has always been very privy to all the stuff that's going on in his life. They've been there, which I think has been good, by the way, for him personally, Gronkowski and his family. I think we need more of that in sports, with families being more involved in the athlete's life. But clearly, like I said, something has changed here, and it's just getting to the point now where he's absorbing more hits, as you've talked about, and different people telling him that he can get paid more money, like you said, Keith, and not having to really put his body out there on the line, sort of say. So he had a phenomenal year last year. To me, he's the greatest tight end in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Or at least he is on pace for that, what he's been able to do so far in this career. He's won 2 Super Bowls at this point in time. He's suffered through a lot of different injuries. We know that. He's gone through a lot of different surgeries, and we just don't know. We don't know what it's like to have that many surgeries and to get to a point where, there's no doubt the thought has crossed his mind that maybe we start to look towards the end here and look towards different things. He's probably going to come back for 2018, but
yeah. I can't see him, honestly, just the way he's feeling. I can say this, knock on wood, I think if he gets another injury, he's done. He's not going to play anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That's number one. And I don't,
which can happen at any moment.
It can happen at any moment, but God forbid it doesn't.
Right.
And that's just for his sake. That's what, okay, the Patriots in general, but his sake especially, because we don't want no man getting injured.
No.
And it happens. But on the other side, I look at it and I'm like, look, think about all the things that Gronkowski has. Him and his brothers, they do the party bus, they do the party boat that they do every year in the summertime that they have going on. They generate money that way. He's appeared on Drop the Mic against Shaq before, on Drop the Mic, the show that comes on.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
Who won that?
I believe
Shaq take that?
Yeah, I think Shaq won. Shaq won it. Yes,
okay.
Shaq did win that. And then you see him make an appearance. He's going to make an appearance on various different shows. And let's be honest with you, Gronkowski can have his own show.
Yeah, he really could.
He can have his own show. He's that loved of a player, like in the entertainment business. He's that love of an athlete. He's like, he's a great just entertainer in himself. That has to be in his mind. Like, look, I've won rings. I've won Super Bowls. I've got championships. I gotten paid. I got some money. I probably haven't gotten paid as much as what I want to, but I'm going to make that in Hollywood or doing whatever I want to do, partying and doing what I love to do best. And I don't have to worry about getting hit or getting another forearm surgery or Achilles surgery or ACL surgery, wherever the case. I won't have to worry about that or worry about getting a broken leg one day. You know what I mean? So, those are the type of things that wear and tears on an athlete's body and wear and tears on your mind. And, so it has a lot to think about when you've won already 2 Super Bowls. You've done it. You made an appearance at the Super Bowl this year. You guys didn't win it. I would say this, and I can say this much. If Patriots have won that Super Bowl, we probably won't be seeing Gronkowski after this.
That's
year.
A great point.
You know what I mean? And
maybe he does walk away.
Maybe he does walk away. Now that players are starting to leave New England, he's accustomed to seeing, like the Malcolm Butlers getting trades. You got Brandon Cooks, who was there last year, who he's probably built a relationship with because he's on offense technically. Him leaving. You got Amendola, who he was close to with him and Julian Edelman. And you got Brady on his way out. I can't see him.
Well, maybe. We don't know.
We got Brady on his way out. We don't know, but maybe. Yeah. I can't see him being there longer than 2 years, man, or playing longer than 2 years. I just can't at this moment in time. As the reports came down, and then we had Jermaine Wiggins, ex-Patriot Jermaine Wiggins, come out and say that, I think the frustration lies with money. It has nothing to do with probably the team, but more with the money issue. But, again, these are talks that happen every year with Gronkowski and with the New England Patriots. This happened last year, and nothing happened. So, can we take, I don't know, with the trades, it makes you raise your eyebrow again because you're like, is Belichick making moves to get Gronkowski? They did pick up a tight end today. They picked up a tight end today.
You mentioned
the
that
Ravens.
off the air.
Yeah. They picked up a tight end from the Ravens today, so I don't know. Maybe he was a free agent. He was a free agent from Ravens. They acquired him from Arizona. But I don't know. Who knows what Bill Belichick has in mind? We all don't know until probably the end of the NFL draft, and so we don't know, so we continue to talk about it until something else comes out.
The hard thing about this is that there's poker faces everywhere in New England. That's the tough thing about this. We don't know. We don't know how long Belichick is going to be there for. We don't know about Brady, and Gronkowski is the ultimate wild card in this as well. Like you said, Keith, what is Belichick really doing here with trading away Cooks? Does he make room to trade away a Gronkowski? They've been talking about that in New England now for multiple years, going back a couple of seasons ago now, potentially to get rid of Gronkowski. I don't know why you would trade away Gronkowski. I think there was a point in time in which they could have done that. I think that time is now past. I think you have to roll, especially now that you got rid of Cooks. I think you have to keep him there, and you definitely have to keep him happy. Brady needs him. He definitely needs him because, I mean, Edelman is coming back, obviously, from a big injury, and if another one of these guys goes down now, they'll be a little thin. I mean, Edelman, Hogan, Malcolm Mitchell comes back from injury. They did re-sign Kenny Britt, I want to say, as well. I don't know what role he's going to play in the team if he even makes the team ultimately, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. But there's question marks. Obviously, Martellus Bennett is retired. They signed this younger tight end here, but they don't have a lot of depth at the position. And they have tons of question marks as far as who are they going to go for in the draft.
And then you got in the running back, they lose Deion Lewis.
Yes.
They pick up Jeremy Hill. And, then you got Burkhead back. And you have James White back. But after that, I mean, and then you lose Nate Soldier, your star left tackle.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of question marks.
So there's a lot of question marks. And, what do they go for? I mean, to me, if Brady's a true quarterback, as we all know, that they'll probably go after a left tackle to protect him, to keep him in, because that's really, let's be honest, knock on wood, he goes down, that's your season.
Yeah.
Your season's over. So, they probably do whatever they can to protect him. And whatever that is, to me, Belichick knows best, so we just have to sit and wait.
The last time the Patriots selected an offensive lineman in the first round would have been back in 2014 when they took Brian Stork out of Florida State, who started at center for a couple years and is now retired. So they don't usually go for offensive linemen early in the draft. I still think you got to go with corner because they cannot go into next season, Keith, with Stephon Gilmore and being opposed on the other side to him, preferably at the moment, I guess it would be Eric Rowe.
No, they got McCourty.
At safety.
And then they picked up the other two, and they picked up his brother, who's
so
a cornerback.
So Jason McCourty. He's going to play the other corner?
He's going to play the other corner.
So maybe they move him to the other corner.
Yeah.
It's Stu, though, I think they need depth in the secondary. I think that's got to be a main point for them going into next. Yeah, it's got to be secondary, and they could always add another pass rusher.
Yeah,
can't have enough of those. They will get Derek Rivers back, who was the rookie who showed promise last year in training camp. Never played with the ACL, so they'll get something there. But yeah, offensive line, secondary have got to be 1A, 1B, however you kind of want to slice it. So we'll see. But back to Gronkowski. He has, like I said, sustained so many different injuries, and we'll see. He was phenomenal last year.
Yeah.
Like Mike Babcock was saying. Remember the Pittsburgh game towards the end of the regular season? Came up with phenomenal catches, big catches in the Super Bowl. Yep. I was there. I saw the one in the end zone.
Yeah.
Just unreal, next level. I mean, Brady to Gronkowski in that Super Bowl was next level. No one was defending that.
No.
And that has been the case. Even in defeat over the last couple of years, the two of them have connected on multiple occasions. I think back to the Denver AFC Championship game from a couple of years ago in which they lost, playing all the way down to the final seconds. The two of them able to hook up on a long fourth down play down the seam, middle of the field. And they hook up on the 4th and goal in the back of the end zone. Gronkowski walks the tightrope. These guys have just been, two of the best. two of the best at their respective positions of all time. So they have to bring Gronkowski back, especially with Cooks not being there anymore. Out here now in L.A., they absolutely have to bring Gronkowski back. Look, I think some of this is Gronkowski's team playing up a couple of different things and obviously trying to get leverage on the situation. At the end of the day, he's a football player. And yes, injuries are concerning, and especially concussions are. He's had those, as we all know. But he still has a lot of football left, I think, to be played.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, like you said, maybe 2 years, maybe 3. But for him, it's kind of like dog years in a sense, right?
Yeah,
because of how big of a player he is and how he just takes such big hits. It's more like the equivalent of like him playing 7 or 8 more years in that sense.
I can't see him going long like Antonio Gates with the Chargers.
No way. No
I
way.
can't see him going that long. I just can't. And I think one thing about Gronkowski, he's just tired of getting hurt, man. Like, like anything, it's like, man, I'm taking big hits here. You know, cats really want me to get down. They're trying to take me down, and you have to really hit them. And I think at the end of the day, that wears on an athlete, and they're like, man, I don't need. Why sign up for this? I don't need this.
Right.
You know, so I want to be able at the end of my career to be able to walk. I don't want to be sitting in a wheelchair, and and that's the things they think about. And you know, when it comes down to it, it's ultimately what he wants to do. I think really it's ultimately what he wants to do, because right now, you know, he's probably on the fence of wanting to come back. And typically, like you say, this is typical Gronk move. It's remember a couple of years ago when he got injured, his agent, the Patriots said he was clear to play, but his agent and everybody was like, no, he's not. He's not ready yet. Off the knee injury. You know, so they weren't coming back yet. So it could be a little bit of hardball. It could be, but, you know, it's the talk of the town right now. And you want to know after Bill Belichick made this move today, you know, with Brandon Cooks going over to the Rams, which is great for the LA Rams, it's just people are scratching their head now. What's next? So,
and I think Belichick likes to play it that way, obviously. Keep them guessing, keep them on their toes, try and stay above the curve, which they've done for quite a long time up there in New England. A quick break here on Behind the Mic, and then we're back after this.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late. We stay informed. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Everybody buckle up.
Mom.
Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
This is Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Welcome back inside Grunions. Brad and Keith hanging out as we go to 9 o'clock Pacific time on this Wednesday evening, April the 4th. Glad you're with us. BehindTheMicShow.com and the official Behind the Mic app are the destinations to listen to the program on Wednesday and Thursday evenings. A reminder, tomorrow night we'll be over at Kings Cove in El Segundo hanging out with a bunch of our friends over there inside the Toyota Sports Center. That's tomorrow night. Behind the Mic live from Kings Cove in El Segundo. 213-261-7491. 213-261-7491. That's the number to jump aboard tonight as we continue talking about everything that's happening in the world of sports. We put a wrap on March Madness at the beginning of the show. Talked about Villanova's dominating victory over Michigan Monday night. Before the break, we were joined by Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports discussing the Gronkowski situation in New England, the tension that's been building there, Gronk feeling like he's not getting paid enough money. Mike kind of weighed in on his insights and some of his sources, as well as he discussed some things earlier today with former Patriots tight end Jermaine Wiggins. So we got a lot of good insights there from Mike as far as what's going on in New England. And as far as the Patriots are concerned, let's play a little 10 questions now.
Let's go.
As Keith joins me back here inside on Behind the Mic here. Also, by the way, we'll get into this a little bit. Dodgers and Angels continue to play opening week. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's play 10 questions now. Let's kind of go around the horn, sort of say everything that's happening in the world of sports. Got a little baseball, basketball, Masters mixed in with this as well, as the Masters officially tee off tomorrow from Augusta. First question. Giancarlo Stanton struck out 5 times yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, Keith. 5 times against Tampa Bay in the Yankees home opener at Yankee Stadium in New York. My question for you, is it a violation to boo any player at any time in a team's home opener? So Stanton struck out 5 times yesterday, and he was just booed extensively by the Yankee faithful who braved the elements yesterday. He was booed after striking out 5 times. Is it a violation to boo a guy on opening day for the home opener?
For the home opener, no. But for any other game performances, why? Because this is the home opener. I would say no. It's wrong. It's wrong to boo him. He's just coming. This is a new city for him and everything. But I guess with the expectations that they have and the amount of money they paid him, they expect him to knock home runs out the gym, out the park every game, and that's just not going to happen.
He's a power hitter, right?
Yeah, he's a power hitter.
Strike out.
He's going to strike out, but it's wrong to boo him in home opener for sure. Because at the end of the day, when it gets down to deciding where he wants to go after this year or next year, he's going to think about that. So you want to keep your players happy, man. This is opening game. And how many games are we into the season? 3, 4 games, and we
single digits.
We already booing people. Come on, Lies. Come on, let's do better than that.
We know by now that the Rams have acquired Brandon Cooks from New England. That went down yesterday. Sammy Watkins is going to be in Kansas City, Keith, for 2018 and beyond. My question to you, which receiver, Cooks or Watkins, finishes with more catches next year?
Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks. Jared Goff's a much better quarterback. I can't see Alex Smith doing it. Sorry. The way, I'm going to say this. Why? Because Alex Smith and the style that Andy Reid, when he runs, they don't throw the ball like they would in L.A. And Rams is going to throw it. They're going to use Jared Goff's arm. They're going to tell him to hang it, throw it, get out there and just throw that cannon. And I can see Brandon Cooks will have a lot more catches.
Not to mention Kansas City is going to break in a new quarterback next year with Mahomes.
That's
with Alex Smith going to Washington.
That's right. Oh, I'm so wrong.
So even another reason why, more so, to get more catches for Brandon Cooks here in L.A. Number 3, San Antonio hosted this year's Final Four, Keith, for the first time since 2008. Next year's Final Four is going to be in the frigid temperatures in Minneapolis. Bring your coat. My question to you is, where's a city that you would like to see the Final Four hosted here in the near future that hasn't hosted in a while, maybe?
L.A.
Yeah.
Los Angeles. Let's get out this coldness. I mean, dang. That's ridiculous. We just had the Super Bowl in Minneapolis. Why we want to go have it again?
I can vouch for it. It was freezing.
Exactly. No, it needs to be in L.A. or Miami.
I like it. I don't think it's been in Miami since I've been watching. I mean, long time.
Yeah, I don't even remember what's been in Miami. So, L.A. and Miami, I would love to see it here. We have to. I mean, these are two great cities to have it in. LA's got a lot of things they can host well, and they got the new stadium coming up. There's a lot of sightseeing they can do. It's Los Angeles. Everybody wants to come here. To only host just the elite to Sweet 16 in LA sucks.
Well put.
It sucks. We need to have the national championship held here, Final Four in Los Angeles or Miami. And there's the only two places I can think.
Number 4, Shohei Ohtani belted a home run last night in his Angels debut. He also secured his first pitching victory on Easter this past Sunday when they took down the Oakland Athletics up there in the Bay Area. My question, Keith, is have you been more impressed so far with Ohtani at the plate or on the mound?
I'm going to say the plate. Knocking out a home run, I mean, that's...
Hit another one today, too.
Yeah, everybody said watch out for this guy, and it's very, I think home runs are harder to hit and knocking them out the park than going out to the mound and pitching, because you can kind of control the pitches that you throw, but knocking it out the park, you got to think of, they're throwing a fastball, screwball, knuckleball, but they'll throw a curve at me, and then you got to know a certain way to hit it. It's just a lot of things you have to think of. So I'm going to say knocking it out the park.
Number 5, RG3, you might have saw this, Keith, signed a 1-year deal today with the Ravens to be the team's backup in 2018. He hasn't played in the NFL since 2016. Are you buying this RG3 comeback to the National Football League? If you want to call it a comeback. It's the beginning stages of what he hopes to be a comeback.
Yeah, the beginning stages of hope to be a comeback. I don't know. Until he gets on the field, I'm not buying it. So I'm not buying it at all, because until he gets on the field, we haven't seen anything yet. He's with a better program, a better organization. Can learn something from Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco always shows up in the playoffs. So he can definitely learn something from Flacco. I think he needs to be with some quarterbacks like that. But I can't say anything because we haven't seen him play since 2000 and what, Brad?
16.
16.
That's a long time in NFL years.
NFL, that's a long time. So I'm not buying it.
Which player in this year's Final Four will have the best pro career out of the ones who've declared for the draft thus far?
Oh, man. You know what? Which player would have the best Final Four? I would say I'm going with Newman.
Yeah, Kansas.
Newman. I'm going with Newman. Newman, a great three-point threat. He can shoot the ball from the outside. He has a great short game. He can take you off the dribble. He can get to the basket. He can create a shot. He can create space. And he can handle the ball. I'm going with Newman from Kansas.
Good enough for me. The NBA playoffs begin next Saturday with first-round action in both conferences, obviously. Who would you like to see, or actually, no, would you like, so we know that there used to be a best-of-5 format. It's now best-of-7 in the first round. Would you like to see the NBA go back to a best-of-5 format in the first round?
Yes. First round, best-of-5. Man, it's, that's too long. These guys are playing too long a game. Now, what do you think about is these guys got to go out there and really sweep, 4 games. It's best-of-5 in the first round, best-of-7 in the finals. I think it needs to stay to that format. NBA is always changing stuff, man. It's like,
yeah,
God,
you're not kidding.
But
it's too much sometimes.
Yeah, leave it alone. It should be best-of-5 until they get into the finals.
On Friday, the Lakers will unveil a statue outside of Staples for Lakers great and Hall of Famer Elgin Baylor. Long time coming, actually. Where do you rank Baylor in Lakers history? You put him in the top 5. Young, obviously, you got to go back. He played 60s, 70s.
Back in time, man. You're talking about Elgin, Wilt Chamberlain. You're talking about, where does he rank in the top 5? Where does he rank?
Yeah.
In the top 5?
Or just where do you place him?
As a Laker?
Yeah.
As a Laker?
Laker.
Okay, well, I'm like this. Let me name it.
Okay.
The Kobe. One of the greatest Lakers ever. Magic Johnson. Shaq. Jerry West. Kareem. Wilt Chamberlain. Elgin Baylor. Gotta go 7.
Top 10.
Top 10.
So number 9, who gets the final playoff spot in the Western Conference, Keith? Pelicans, Nuggets, or the Clippers?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That 8th seed, who's going to claim it?
That is a good one. That's hard. But
they're all within a couple games of each other.
Yeah, they're all like one game with each other and stuff. But when I look at it, and we look at the games that the Pelicans have to come up and play, I'm leaning more towards the Pelicans. I'm definitely leaning towards the Pelicans. They got Phoenix, they got Golden State. Let's see, they got Phoenix, Golden State, Clippers, San Antonio. All these teams, except for they're gonna beat Phoenix.
Yeah,
I think they beat I think the Clippers need a win. That's gonna be a playoff game. Golden State's definitely gonna. Golden State, it all depends. They may rest their guys for the simple fact that they're already gonna be clinched the 2nd seed, and they're not, and they're content with that. They're fine with that. And the Spurs need a win too, as they still need a win. So when I look at it, it's kind of hard. Let me see. Let's look at. Give me a second. Let me look at. I gotta make it a right move here, Brad. You got the Clippers, right? So the Clippers got at the end. They got the Utah Jazz. I don't think they're gonna beat them. Denver. Ooh, they all play each other, so it's playoff
very interesting,
time.
Right?
And the Lakers, they're gonna beat the Lakers.
It's like they knew something.
Yeah,
in the league office when they were scheduling this out.
Exactly, and then Denver. Let's see what Denver's looking like, because they got Minnesota, LA, Portland, and Denver's out. I'm going with the Pelicans.
I think so too. I think that they've been consistently better than Denver and the Clips this year.
Yeah.
It would make sense they would get in.
Yeah.
I would agree. Last one. Who wins the Masters this week?
It's the one and only Tiger Woods.
Ah, there we go.
Tiger Woods is winning the Masters, baby. Tiger Woods has finished in the top 5 in the last 3 tournaments he's played in.
Yeah.
I would say in the last 3 top 5. He's not feeling he has no injuries. He's feeling good. He has no distractions. And I think he's gotten a lot of confidence within himself. And I think, hey, I'll say this for this matter. In the last, let's say, if he's in the top 5 in the last, going into Saturday, is he in the top 5 finishing Saturday? If he's in the top 5 finishing Saturday, he's winning it on Sunday.
Ooh,
He will win the Masters.
Tiger tees off tomorrow, by the way, at 10:42 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 7:42 here in L.A. He'll be paired with Mark Leishman and Tommy Fleetwood. Mickelson tees off at 1:27 Eastern Time. Jordan Spieth at 1:49. Those are some of the notables. That's 10 questions, by the way, here on Behind the Mic. To me, the biggest thing this week for Tiger is, can he drive the golf ball off the tee somewhat consistently? That's always been one of the toughest parts of his game, his Achilles heel in a way. I think his putting is going to be on. I think we're going to be treated to some great classic Tiger putts this week. I think his short game will be there as well. Usually the two of them go hand in hand. It's all about the driver. You look at guys like some of the younger guys like McIlroy, Spieth, Ricky Fowler. I mean, they can drive the hell out of the golf ball. And Augusta is a course where you have to put it in play. Obviously, it's gotten a little trickier now over the years with some of the trees they've planted. They've gotten bigger, so there's more obstacles to get around. But that's going to be the biggest thing for me is, can he do that? Can he put the ball, can he drive it well off the tee? If he can do that, he's going to put himself, in position for some great approach shots, and the rest should take care of itself from there. It usually does for Tiger. And, like you say, Keith, I mean, moving day has always been round 3 on Saturday in any tournament for golf, especially in the majors. If he's there in contention, and then, come Sunday, like you said, if he's in the top 5, look out. Everyone is going to be looking over the shoulder. Everyone's going to be thinking about him when they go to bed on Saturday night. So it's the mind games that he plays, like some of the best do, the best have done all the time. That's when they're at their best, getting into each other's heads. But the quiet confidence, and I don't even know if it's quiet anymore. He was interviewed by ESPN's Tom Rinaldi yesterday at Augusta, and basically there's a lot of confidence with Tiger now, and you can see that on his face and his reactions and his responses to Tom's questions. We haven't seen that in quite some time. It definitely goes back to, like you said before, there's no more pain. He's obviously as healthy as he's been in a long time. That's for starters, and he's starting to get that mindset back that he can do this again. And he seems loose. He's playing with, he's very loose out there, and, him and Mickelson practiced together this week, and there seems to be somewhat of a renewed fire amongst the two of them, and I feel like we will go back in time a bit this weekend, and I think it's great for the sport.
Yes, it definitely is. I can't wait to see it. Honestly, I haven't, I watch golf. I watch it, but I haven't really followed as much. Let's be honest, I haven't really followed as much since Tiger's, has been gone. And
you and every other golf fan, not alone.
Now that he's back, just imagine even the ratings, what the ratings is going to be like for the Masters.
CBS is probably somewhat upset that they didn't have the championship game this year for college basketball, with it being on TBS, obviously. But they'll make up for it this weekend if Tiger's there.
Yes,
in the end,
they definitely will, and I guess everybody's pulling for him. I mean, everyone's pulling for him, man. I mean, this guy's been through a lot in the last couple of years, and from even losing like some sponsorships and things like that, and Nike is stuck with him, which is great. But it's going to be interesting to see how he comes out. I think I'm really, really excited to see what he does. This is his first round, how he plays, and go from there. I think the key is the first round, because then they start to these guys want to get a feel of the course. After the first 2 days, these guys know how to hit the ball in certain holes and things like that. So that first round really determines a lot. And you know what else is also the weather. You never know with the weather out. You never know what's going to happen with the weather. If it's going to be hot, it's going to be perfect golf weather. It's going to be windy or is it going to rain? You know, those things come in consideration of how that ball drops when it comes off that air. You know, how that wind goes, how you're going to hit the ball, how you're going to drive the ball, for that matter. So, you know, I think weather is another thing that comes into place in the beginning of the games. Like, what's the weather going to be like? And then I think these professional athletes, they deal with it as it goes, you know. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do this first round like you. If he does well this first round, just getting his groove back, just seeing how he reacts to certain things, how he hitting that ball. So we'll see.
That's what it's about. I can guarantee this. I'll be up tomorrow morning. I'll be up early.
Of course.
As the patrons come out down there at Augusta. That's an event I want to get to. It's Keith, you know, I've been to a lot of different sports events. I've been very fortunate this year, and going back to last year, kind of going across the world of sports to different events. And the Masters is definitely an event is on my bucket list at one point.
That's what I was going to ask you. If the Tiger makes it to the championship, are you going to go down to Augusta, Georgia?
Probably not, but if you know my family, anything's possible.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know. Yeah, it's honestly though. I think
you have to go though. You know why? Let me tell you.
Maybe
because you never know when this chance is going to be again with Tiger. You got to think about it. If Tiger's there, you got to go. How long is Tiger going to play? Could he play golf? He can play golf for a long period of time, but how long? To me, he's like getting back to his prime.
Yeah.
You know, and then golf is a tricky way of things, man.
It is. You don't know.
You just don't know. So
that Masters package, though, I think you have to buy like the whole week or something like that. I don't think you can just like pick. Yeah, I don't think you can pick and choose certain days, and you could, but I think you have to pay for the whole thing or something like that. I don't know. I've never been to a golf. I've played golf for years now, but I've never been to like a professional golf event.
Yeah. My buddy has. He's been in a couple and seen Tiger, but
okay.
He said it's a great experience to get out there and actually watch. It's long, but you walking, you following, you're walking with these guys for 18 holes. You got to be ready for that. That's conditioning.
Yeah,
I mean, if
I
played 18 holes myself, and it's a long day.
No cart.
No cart. It's a long day. So it's a long day. But back to Phil Mickelson. I'm actually excited to see play.
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth, I'm really excited to see how does he react when Tiger's on his heels. Can these guys step up? They haven't seen Tiger at his pure fashion, I think, yet in their career, and they're going to get a little taste of that this week.
I agree, and it's interesting talking about some of the younger guys like a Spieth, and we know Spieth won the Masters a couple years back. Then he had that meltdown the year after in which he collapsed. I think at least at the beginning of the week, and it might be short-lived depending on how well Tiger comes out of the gates tomorrow, but all the attention that Tiger and Phil, in part, has gotten this week, I think has been good for a Spieth because the attention's been taken off of him and on those guys. Now, obviously, depending on how those guys play, it could just get ratcheted right back up. So it just depends. It comes in waves, obviously, but this is what it's all about. I mean, these have been the two faces of golf for a very long, long time. And there's no doubt that the top executives on the PGA Tour, they're hoping for some very good outings this week from Tiger and Phil and everyone else. But it was great. Today was the par 3 contest down there, as they traditionally have it on Wednesday the day before. Tom Watson won the par 3 contest. Jack Nicklaus's grandson actually hit a hole-in-one today. During the par 3 contest. Pretty cool. I don't know if you saw any of the stuff they've done this week, Keith. I mean, during the practice rounds. I mean, golf in itself is extremely hard of a sport to master when you're just playing on your own, let alone when all the cameras are shining bright. Yeah. I mean, these guys are doing tricks. I mean, Tiger and Phil and Fred Couples, like having the golf ball kind of skid across the water on purpose and then land on the green on 16. Yeah. It's like, I mean, just get out of here. Get out of here. I mean, this is next level and just craziness with golf. I mean, these guys are just, it's over the top.
Yeah, it is. It's just like their all-star weekend, so to speak.
Yeah, it's true.
It is. It's like their all-star weekend. It's a major event. The Masters is the granddaddy of them all. And, but these guys, they're playing around, they're loose. But they're ready to get after it. Tomorrow, they're getting their rest tonight, and they're ready to get after it. And they're going to get after it tomorrow morning. So I'm excited to see how Tiger and those guys come out and play this week.
You and me both. Final thoughts here as we wrap up this Behind the Mic Wednesday night edition of the show.
My final thoughts is going to go to Erica Akuwakubu. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. It's Akuwakubu, whatever. Erica Akuwakubu from Notre Dame.
It's in the same class as Giannis, I think. Yes. Trying to pronounce that last name.
Yes, it is. Little backstory. She has been called the closer she won the national championship for Notre Dame this past weekend. What a great game they played against Mississippi State, man. I mean, that was
better than the men's final.
That was better than the men's final. And what's so great about her is that here you got a girl, they call her the closer, and boy, did she close. National Final Four, played against UConn, Gino Ariano, who's basically really they've been undefeated for 2 years straight and lost in the Final Four twice this way. I mean, and lost at the buzzer to Erica, hitting a shot right there in the corner, a 15-footer in the corner with somebody in her face. But the one that she made in the national championship game to win it all was, yes, Kobe-esque type of shot. I'm talking about coming off a screen around the corner. I mean, it was like you can pull up any YouTube video and probably the Kobe Bryant last night, and one of those are on there. Get the ball and dribble to the corner, one dribble, pull up, fade away, out of bounds for a game. And for a game in the championship, and then have Kobe Bryant tweet about it. I looked at her Twitter. She had, I believe, 6,000. Before all this, she had about maybe 3,000 followers. Within seconds, Brad, her was pumping up to 8,000. It was
crazy.
Just going fast.
Yeah.
And then you got NBA players. And what's so great about this game is that not just the women's basketball, but that don't get a lot of respect in the women's basketball. But you had NBA athletes tweeting about this game and saying things about her and what she's done. She's a junior at Notre Dame, and I'm gonna tell you, man, they got another year with her. She's not coming out this year. Of course, they don't do that in women's basketball, but she has another year. And what a gift to have a national championship and come back the following year and be able to try to do it again. And it's going to be some great recruits. So my shout-outs to Erica and those Notre Dame Lady Fighting Irishes out there. Congratulations on winning the national championship against Mississippi State. And Mississippi State, great job getting there. You guys had a shot. They had a great shot to win it. But what a wild finish for both those teams.
Patriots receiver Julian Edelman, we kind of mentioned him earlier in the show, coming back from an injury, obviously. It was really was a true hero in the sense at the end of March here. This didn't really make a lot of headlines, but end of the March, last week or so, he helped to thwart a potential school shooter, actually. I don't know if you saw this, Keith. Yeah, basically on his Instagram account, someone had made a comment about how they were potentially going to, do some really crazy and pretty disturbing type of things, and potentially, starting up a school shooting. So, someone alerted Edelman to this, and he quickly was able to get in contact with his assistant in Boston, who runs his social media accounts, presumably, and they were able to trace the account back to, I believe it was a minor, a kid in Michigan, who they actually made this comment, so they were able to track him down, and authorities were able to step in and take care of that. But to me, this is it's a story of it's the simple things sometimes, and what that can do. Just someone alerting, someone to something, and then someone having taking the time of day to actually review it and to take it seriously. It's little things like that can help to prevent sometimes some really disturbing things from happening. And, Julian Edelman there, stepping up and really doing a good deed, I guess, is really what you can say to this. And it's, hats off to him for just being Johnny on the spot and really making sure that everyone's taken care of. So good job, Edelman.
Hey, same thing. That's excellent to see what he did, and people taking the time, and you see these athletes and they actually show that they care. They're not just into their money and their fame, and that they're actually looking into what's going on in the community and stuff like that. And a lot of these athletes do that, and that tends to get unnoticed for other things that have been going on. But the charity events and things that they do for families and things like that. But this right here it's like second to none. You know, like you're basically saving thousands of lives by just having just to be on his phone and looking on his phone and seeing what's going on in the world. You know, so that's great.
Well put. Great show tonight here from Grunyon's Keith. We're back tomorrow night from Kings Cove over in El Segundo. The Toyota Sports Center is our home on Thursday evenings for Behind the Mic. Thanks to everybody who listened tonight. Big thanks to Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports for checking in this evening as well. We'll get into Dodgers and Angels, a little Ohtani discussion tomorrow night from Kings Cove. We'll also touch on that LeBron-Nick Saban feud, if you want to call that's currently going on in the world of sports. For Keith, I'm Brad. Keep living the dream. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.